And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. The audio is bad on my end, guys. I apologize. It is what it is. But today we welcome to the show former Red Sox second baseman and founder of the Chagan movement, Mr. Jeff Frye. How are you today, sir?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Now, first off, we got to get right into it. Jeff, this cold. What the fuck?
I don't know, man. I'm sick of the cold. I've been cold for like I've been cold for like 3 months up here in Maryland. I went to Texas for 3 weeks over Christmas and New Year's, and I played golf on Christmas Day in shorts. It was 82, and then I just got back from Florida on Monday from Red Sox fancy camp and played golf down there. It was beautiful, and then I came home to a foot of snow and ice.
This is one of the colder winters we've seen up here, man. This is wild. I don't know. It feels like somebody just hit a switch and like, oh, you guys are gonna freeze for a couple months. Just deal with it, right?
Global warming,
My goodness, right? All right, so you're in Maryland. Whoa, jeez. Sorry about the audio, man. This is horrible. I hate it. I'll try to whisper maybe. All right, how much Old Bay do you have on you right now?
How much what?
How much Old Bay do you have on you right now?
Yeah, we're not really we haven't really bought into the whole Old Bay thing. I know up here they put on chicken wings and all this stuff. I do love the blue crabs. I had to always love blue crabs, but had to kind of transition from my real favorite, which is crawfish in Texas, when I
Okay.
came up here to Maryland. So now no not much crawfish around here, so I got to eat the crabs.
Crab cakes are good. I fuck with some crab cakes. They're good, bro. They're
I'm
good.
not I'm not a big crab cake guy. I like the actual crab where you crack them and you got to do some work to get the meat out of there, but it's worth it.
Well, it shows because like you're in shape and in fitness, so you would do the hard work. I'm lazy, so I just like putting it on a plate, and eating it, right? All right. Now the internet tells me you're a California boy by birth.
Yep.
So do you like have fun when you were fun? Do you have like watching Charlie O'Finley's test the orange baseballs, like sneaking cigarettes with MC Hammer? If not, what did you do in California at a young age?
Yeah, I didn't grow up an A's fan, but I do remember Charles Finley and the orange baseball and the donkey and all that stuff. I went to high school one year in Oakland, but I grew up actually a San Francisco Giants fan.
Okay,
I'm a
okay.
Giants fan and a 49ers fan, and really didn't hate the A's, but I definitely do not like the Raiders. I was kind of brainwashed as a kid by my uncle. These are who you're gonna like. You have no choice, but that's who I like to this day.
Okay, okay. So, what were you? Man, this audio is so bad, deuces. I'm so sorry, guys. When you were coming up, did you're a single kid, right? So you had no brothers. Did your dad take you to a lot of baseball, football, basketball games, that kind of thing, or what was the deal there?
I didn't meet my father till I was 27. I was raised by my mother and lived with my grandparents a lot of times. So, but my uncle and my aunt would take me and my cousin to a lot of sporting events, Giants games, A's games, 49er games, Golden State Warriors games, USF Dons basketball games. So just it's kind of whatever season it was, we were going to go to at least a couple games, to see how the professionals play the sport.
Okay. So you're playing baseball. How old were you when you really started noticing that maybe you could like have something going with this baseball thing?
I mean, I started like most kids back then. You couldn't start really before you're 8 years old. So that's when I started little league and played little league, up to high school and did pretty well in high school. But I never even imagined that I could play professionally. It never even dawned on me. I just knew I loved to play, and going to the games and watching baseball all the time on TV. These guys were just larger than life to me, and I never even imagined that I could play baseball at that level.
So you were what on the TV back? I mean, because when I was growing up, we had the Cubs were on WGN, and in Cleveland here, they only played the couple times a week until they got the cable deals and all that. But like, what were when you were watching games? It's audio, dude. When you When you were watching games growing up, like was it mainly Giants? I mean, did you see A's games too? What was on the TV? Have Braves games maybe? What was
Yeah,
going
but
on?
we had mostly, the local networks would have the Giants and the A's, but we also got to see TBS, the Braves, and WGN with the Cubs. Um, but it wasn't near as much baseball on TV back in the day. My grandmother was a Dodger fan, and she all the way back to the Brooklyn Dodgers. So whenever the Giants would have a series against the Dodgers, I mean, it was must-watch television. We'd watch every game from the first pitch to the last, and it was I'd go through a whole bag of jumbo sunflower seeds and about 3 or 4 Cokes watching the Dodgers kick the Giants' butt. But it made my grandma happy, and I really loved watching those teams back in those days.
What when you was playing little league? Did you have a preferred position? Did you just play everywhere? What was your coming up? Did you pitch a little bit? What was the deal there?
Yeah, I played everywhere. I mostly played shortstop and pitcher. I
Okay.
caught, I think, when I was 10 in the majors because our best pitcher was 12 and nobody else could catch him. So they let me catch him. At least the only time I ever would catch was when he would pitch. And yeah, but mostly shortstop all the way up to high school.
Okay. Man, imagine how bad would your knees be if you were a catcher and just played catcher the whole time? Like,
Well,
do
I
you
didn't
talk
have
to
to squat
catchers?
too low.
Do you talk? I mean, you got a lot of major league buddies. You talk to some of these catchers. How are their knees, man? They gotta be shot by now, huh?
Yeah, they are. And actually, I just saw my buddy Bill Hasselman, that was my teammate with the Rangers and the Red Sox. We saw him at Red Sox fantasy camp, and he had to have a knee, I think a hip replacement. He could barely crouch down. It's so funny. You go to this fantasy camp, and Hass is this is his first fantasy camp, and as a coach, and he's like, "Man, I don't think I can hit. And I don't think I can catch." And next thing I know, he's squatting down, catching, and hitting fourth. I was like, "Man, I thought you weren't going to play. I didn't think he couldn't help himself." But we just had a blast doing that a week ago.
I remember Bob Feller. If you remember Bob Feller, he used
Hmm.
to he pitched well into his 80s at the fantasy camp. He was like 85, 86 out there, still chucking it to these guys. That's great, man. Oh,
Well, I mean, we just had Oil Can Boyd finish the game off against the All Stars. He pitched the last 2 innings. Last
oh,
last batter hit a one hop smash up the middle, and Oil Can snagged it, threw him out at first, and we beat the All Stars.
love it. Oil Can Boyd, man. That's the awesomest nickname of all time. I would say Oil Can
He is
Boyd.
a great dude, man. He is just, I mean, he's a national treasure. This guy is just so funny, and he just has the time of his life down there.
Yes, sir. Doof wants to know, are the 49ers still an okay team? He's from England. They're serviceable this year, Doof. They got a lot of injuries still. A lot of injuries hit the Niners this year. It's
Yeah,
really
way
bad.
too many. I mean, they lost Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. You know, two incredible defensive players. And then we had our wide receiver Ayuk that went off the deep end and decided he wanted to race his car past the stadium instead of play football. So,
Oh,
but I'm surprised they made it as far as they did,
there
considering
were
the injuries.
there was trade rumors. Ayuk back before he signed that contract. I'm glad we didn't get that guy. I'm a Browns fan, man. That would have that poor bastard. What a crazy
Yeah,
guy.
I wish they would have signed him. As soon as they signed him, it just everything went to shit.
Yes, sir. All right, now your junior year in high school, you stated that you've moved to Oklahoma. First off, like why? Why'd you guys move to Oklahoma?
Well, at the time, I was living with my grandparents. My stepdad was not a very good guy, and I moved out from my mom and stepdad and moved in with my grandparents. And
Okay.
my grandfather at this time was, he was kind of going downhill in a hospital bed in our house, and my grandmother was getting older, and it was taking its toll on her, taking care of both of us. So my uncle, maybe the greatest guy ever, just retired from the city of Hayward with a bad back and decided he was going to move back to Oklahoma with his wife, 4 daughters, and take my grandmother and grandfather with him. So think about this guy, right? He just now retired. He worked his ass off his whole life. And now he's going to move his mother in law and father in law into his house. And he also invited me. They invited me. They said, "We want you to come with us." And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to move back in with my stepdad. So I jumped in the truck and we drove 1,800 miles uh, I think 9 of us, and moved into a 3-bedroom house with 1 bathroom on 5 acres in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and we had the time of our lives.
So this would probably be a culture shock for you, no? I mean, you're going from California to like Oklahoma, where it's all Mormons and wheat fields, wherever, tornadoes, wherever the hell they got out there. Did you?
Yeah.
What was? I mean, you personally, how did you adjust and just? I mean, a different besides a different living situation, obviously, like just with friends and all that. How did it? How did you take that personally? Was that a huge culture shock for you?
Yeah, it was a culture shock. I mean, the town is 2,000 people. We had one stoplight, and I moved from Hayward, so a suburb of Oakland, about 100,000 people, 4A high school, to a 2A high school with 63 kids in my graduating class. And, I think I thrived because in California, I'm just kind of a homebody, and I didn't bring a lot of kids over to my house. I think when you live with your grandmother, who was an awesome lady, but my grandfather was not very pleasant to be around. I didn't want to bring my friends around at that time, so I didn't have much of a social life. And then I moved to Oklahoma, start playing sports, and start meeting some friends, and it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly.
Oh yeah. And now, did you? You have 5 acres. Was there any farm animals like cows and stuff like that, or what?
Well, we had a horse. We
Okay.
had a little Welsh pony, and I would you know, walk up to this pony once it trusted me and just jump on his back and hang on for dear life. He would run to the end of the pasture without a saddle or anything, bridle or anything, and that was my entertainment, just trying not to fall off. But we had chickens and things like that. And I actually brought my dog and cat with me. And within the first week, the cat ran off, and then a dog killed the chickens, so they made me get rid of the dog. So that didn't last very long.
Now was I just thought of this, but was this very in your development? Was this very natural esque like Roy Hobbs? You're growing up on a farm, throwing the ball. Who did you end up practicing with? I mean, did you have somebody? Just your buddies? I mean, everybody throws the ball around with somebody. I mean, what did you? What was your take?
I had a cousin who was the same grade as me,
Okay.
and, but he played football, but he didn't really play baseball and basketball. He was a smaller guy, believe it or not, smaller than me, and but we would play basketball and things like that. But most of my baseball practice was on my own.
Okay.
I'd go out in the yard and pick up a coffee can filled with rocks. I'd fill up a coffee can of rocks I found, and then I'd go get a broomstick and go simulate like I was hitting home runs out in the yard and stuff. But there wasn't a whole lot of practice going on at the house.
Okay. Now you don't have to answer this if you want, but the way you grew up, do you think how did that affect you as a father and like how you interacted with your kids and all that?
Well, I learned a lot from my uncle. He's the guy that told me about the birds and the bees, and he was a great man and a great family man, and so I think everything that I learned about how to be a father, I learned from him, and you kind of just demand respect. You um, there are rules that you have to follow, and that's the way it is. And if you break the rules, you're punished. And that's just kind of the way it was, and that's the same way I raised my boys.
Yes, sir. That's the way I do. Well, to an extent, I'd like my kids to party a little bit more, the younger ones, but it is what it is. They're not. I mean, I smoke a lot of weed, so they can't. There's no way they're gonna get up in this level yet. But we'll see. We'll see. They're still in high school. I can't force it. Now, speaking of high school, could you have went pro out of high school? You think
Could I have what?
went pro out of high school? You think?
Oh, no chance, no
No.
chance. Now,
Okay.
when I graduated high school, I was 5'5", 135 pounds. Yeah, and I was actually going to JUCO to play basketball.
Well, buck 35. Why didn't you wrestle? Did you think of wrestling?
No, I never lifted a weight in high school. I played football, basketball, and baseball, but basketball was really good. I was really quick and could really shoot and averaged over 23 points a game my senior year before the 3-point line. That's how old I am. And then I'm actually going to JUCO to play basketball. I was going to walk on baseball.
Okay. And then so you did decide to go to college. I assume it was a nearby college. And you're like a fitness oriented guy. Did you ever think of the service, ROTC, something like that, or were you just going to college for sports? What was the deal there?
I didn't know, man. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I just was going to keep playing. And, as long as my sports would give me a free education because I didn't have much money at all. And so a free education was sounded pretty great to me. So I was going to play as long as I got that.
Okay. So after you graduate college and the draft is going on, do you like just do whatever on draft day and wait for a call if it happens? I mean, how does that work back then?
Yeah, it's so different than it is today. We couldn't follow it. Um, but I actually, after my senior year, I thought I was done. No scouts had talked to me or anything. I just made first team All American, set the school record in hitting, and thought my career was over. And a teammate of mine was invited to a Rangers tryout camp, and I didn't want to go, so I went in his place. And I had the day of my life, and impressed the Rangers enough to draft me in the 30th round.
30th round. That's crazy, man.
And the funny thing is so our housing when I was at my NAI school, Southeastern, was government housing, and we didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have phones. We didn't have a phone in the house. We didn't have a TV. No way to communicate. No computers. So the way I found out I was drafted was when my coach Mike Matheny and his wife Pat Matheny knocked on my door and told me when I opened the door that I got drafted by the Texas Rangers in the 30th round and that they're coming to sign me tomorrow.
Oh hell yeah! So what was your reaction when you found out Texas? Were you pretty stoked at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know, dude. I mean, it's just like I was excited, a little scared because you don't know uh, what to expect, but it was an opportunity to keep playing, and I was just always been kind of just go with the flow kind of guy, and go take my chances and see how I did.
What was your informal backup plan if baseball never materialized, like in your 20s at least?
There wasn't. There was no plan B. No, I mean, I probably would have eventually probably ended up being a coach. I guess most of the guys that graduate high school in the town I grew up in stay there, and the two best options at that time were working at the Whirlpool factory or the Planters factory, and so that was pretty much it. Unless your dad, worked in construction or you had some family that did something, that's most of the people don't leave.
That's right. That's crazy. Did you? What was your degree in?
It was uh, it was actually recreation,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
recreated a lot in college. but I, but I passed. I made good grades and good enough to stay on the field, and but I really had. I mean, it kind of sounds made up, but I had no plan B. I would have done something. I would have tried to be good at whatever I did, but it wasn't anything that Nowadays, these kids seem to know what they want to do with their lives at 17. I was only 17, so I started college at 17. So I hadn't even 2 years before I was sleeping on the couch in my grandmother's house. We didn't have a car. Everywhere we went, we walked around. I had to take public transit everywhere. So I was just gonna go whatever came my way. I was gonna have to go attack that.
Oh, yeah. Was there any or fun minor league assignments when you were like coming up through the ranks? And alternative to that, were there any places back then that were just like in the middle of nowhere and kind of isolating?
What do you mean? Did you say that again?
Ah, so sorry. Were there any fun major league assignments you had when you were first coming up through the ranks?
Oh, I don't know. Fun assignments?
Yeah, like in the minors, like A, AAA, any fun cities. You're like, okay, this is a really party cool town here.
Not really, dude. But I just love playing. And if some of the cities, like I was in Butte, Montana, my first year of short season, it was horrible. And then I was in Gastonia, North Carolina. That was not any better. Probably the best place I was Port Charlotte. That was high A ball. That was decent. I was in Florida, and then I got to go. Excuse me. Got to go to Tulsa, and then Oklahoma City. So it kept getting better. But the first few years, it's like, man, Butte, Montana, and Gastonia, North Carolina. It's like, but we had a blast. We were getting paid not much money to play baseball, but it was better than working.
Now, when you guys are partying back then, did you just pool money for beer, or did was there the fans party with you? How did that work?
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of money for beer, but we found a way to get some beer. I can tell you that. But most of the time it was just us. Back in those days, we were getting $11 a day meal money, and so there wasn't a whole lot of extra money for beer. But you know, if we happened to have a bonus baby on our team, we'd try to get him to pay for stuff. But we scrounged our way through. I can tell you that.
11 bucks a day. Wow. I remember in the service we would get 59 a day. That was oh 07. What was did you get per diem in the major leagues too?
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I think when I first got to the big leagues, it was probably like 60 or 70 bucks a day.
Okay.
Yeah, and a lot of times that money was spent on your clubhouse dues. So I would pay like 50 bucks when you first come up, you're paying like 40, 50 bucks a day clubhouse dues. So there's not a lot of your per diem left. And then we used our per diem a lot of times for our gambling money, our poker games and stuff. So if you could, be successful at cards every now and again, you'd have a little extra money in your money bag.
Okay. So when you're getting called up to the majors, does the manager of the minor league team like gather you guys, all the coaches in the office, a huge celebration, or like what is it like? And was this a huge moment for you personally, or what?
Oh yeah, but it was nothing like that. It was I got a call in my room at 9 in the morning, and I had a roommate. Back in those days, you had roommates in the minor leagues. And normally, we would take the phone off the hook or get a do not disturb. And I don't know why we didn't this night, but the phone rang at 9 in the morning, and it was closest to my bed. So I picked it up, and it was my manager, Tommy Thompson, who who, who was a character. Man, we loved him. We called him the general because he used to say, "We're going to war, boys. We're going to war." So we called him the general. And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, "You're not going to the AAA All Star game because I just made the All AAA, all three leagues combined All Star team. Me and Brett Boone are the two second basemen who made it." And he goes, "You're not going to the AAA All Star game. You're going to another level, big boy. Come up to my room." And I didn't say shit. And I was just like sitting there holding the phone. And I looked across the room at my roommate, Bobby Brower, um, who I love to this day. And he just looks at me and he goes, "You're going to the big leagues." He goes, "And you're not coming back either." And I went up to Tommy's off, went up to his room. He gave me my itinerary, went to the field, got my equipment, jumped on a plane with Brian Bohannon. We both got called up that day and flew to Arlington, Texas.
Oh yeah. Now, would you? I mean, we just smiling the whole time on the flight over there. What did you get? Celebratory beers? What happened?
Yeah, man. And I didn't even have a chance to like call my family. You know, it was everything had happened so fast. And I jump on a plane. I get to land to Arlington at 5 p.m. Games at 7:05. You got to get a ride to the stadium. Get to the stadium at 5:30. You walk in, and they show me my locker, and they say, "Go check out the lineup." So I walk over to this board. It's got the lineup posted, and I look at the top, and I'm number 51. That was my number in spring training. And number 51, Jeff Frye is playing second base, leading off. And number 34, Nolan Ryan, is pitching for us that night. My first game in the
Nice,
big leagues.
nice.
So I had an hour and a half to get ready for my first major league game.
Now, had you ever met Nolan Ryan prior to this?
Yeah, well, I got to meet him in spring training because in '92, the year I got called up, I went to my first major league spring training, so I got to
Okay,
meet Nolan there.
okay. Were you in the squad when he hit that no hitter, or was that before the year before?
No, it was before. I was there when he had the brawl with well, it
Robin
wasn't really a
Ventura.
brawl, the knockout of Robin Ventura. Yeah, I
Were
was there.
you were you involved in that fight? What was that's cool. No.
Because it was 1993, and I hurt my knee in the off season of '92, so I was on the 60-day DL, and they had stupid rule back then where if you're on the 60-day DL, you're not allowed to be in the dugout during the games. Even though I was rehabbing with the team and all that, always at the field, I wasn't allowed to be in the dugout. So I wore a jacket to cover my name in the dugout just so I could go be part of the team. And when that happened, I started running on the field, and the trainer, Danny Wheat, grabbed me from the back of my jacket and pulled me in the dugout and says, "You can't go out there. You're not even allowed to be in the dugout." So I didn't get to go out there, but it didn't last very long anyway.
That's awesome, man. All right, now we both have a random Arthur Rhodes connection. Hey, you obviously know you smacked your first career homer off of him. Now, in the 1997 ALCS, me and my brother Tony were down there at Progressive Field, Jacobsfield back then, and he was warming up. We were in the bleachers, and he was warming up in the outfield. And my brother goes, "You suck," and he goes back to us. He goes, "So do you." Now,
Arthur is a great guy, man. I never forget that when I hit that first home run. The next at bat, I hit a double down the line, and then the third at bat, he threw at me. Um, but we never played together. But you know, we kind of ran in the same circles and stuff. And then once I retired and became a sports agent, I got to get to know Arthur and hung out. Going to some golf tournaments, and what a great guy, man. I really love that guy.
yeah, what were some of the funnier heckles you've had over the years? And you ever get any to just make you laugh?
Oh yeah, I mean they ragged on me a lot because I was usually the smallest guy out there. They'd say, uh, "Hey, Bat Boy, how'd you get such a low number?" Or they'd say, "Hey, Frye, what do you want to be when you grow up?" Um, just little stuff like that. I would just give it back to them. You know, I knew they paid to be there. They could say what they want within reason. But I mean, when there's that many people in the stands, a lot of times you don't. It kind of blends together, so you can't really make it out. It's when you have the small crowds that you can hear everybody what they're saying.
Did you ever, did you or any of your teammates ever hear something so bad that they got somebody kicked out, like just leave? Is they ever got that bad?
No, I don't think so. People used to act normal back then. It's a lot different now. People seem to think it's their right to say whatever they want to professional athletes without any repercussions.
Do you
And
think that's because of social media, or what, or just society in general? What do you think's your take on that?
I think it's both. I think it's a combination. I think social media has given people you know, the idea, the misconception that they can say anything to anyone and there's nothing anybody can do about it until, you may happen to run into that person in real life. And then what? It's sad. I mean, it really is sad. I think that there's so many great things that have come from social media, but there's so much negativity now. And I experience a lot of it on my social media. If you really look at my career, a 30th rounder who signed for 2 grand, who played for 15 years, that's kind of hard to do. Not many guys got played as long as I did who weren't supposed to. I was never supposed to play as long as I did. But if you look at social media, I sucked and I was terrible, and you know, even though there's only been like 23,000 guys to ever make it, I wasn't a superstar, so I sucked. Even though there's
Yeah,
way more dudes like me that weren't superstars, just grinded it out and had careers than the actual guys who are, you know, the unicorns, the superstars.
oh, for sure, for sure. For every Mr. Beast, for example, on YouTube, there's 5,000 guys like me, right?
Hmm.
At the end of the day, you still did the same thing. All right, and I got the cycle. I know this is pretty important. All right, I want to show you a clip of something, but I have to ask you a question before, and you can go with wherever you want with it. All right. I hate this audio, by the way. Sorry, guys, on the audio. It is what it is. All right. Could you have made it to second on that single? If
Oh
not,
yeah.
did the first base coach stop and tell you to do it? Did you do it voluntarily?
The first base coach told me to stop, but I had already talked to our hitting coach, Cito Gaston, before I went up to home plate. I
Okay.
knew that the game was well in hand. It was 11-3 in the bottom of the eighth, and our team was not in the playoff race. And I just asked Cito, I said, "What do I do if I hit one in the corner or in the gap?" He goes, "Stop it first." And I said, "Are you sure?" He goes, "Stop it first and tell them I told you to." I said, "Okay." And he was the most respected guy on our coaching staff. The guy won 2 World Series, 4 pennants as manager of the Blue Jays, played in the big leagues. roommates with Hank Aaron. I had incredible amount of respect for Cito Gaston. So when he said it was okay, to me that makes it okay. And then and I still felt bad running around first. I made a huge turn and I yelled at the first base coach, "What do I do?" And he goes, "Stay here." You know, so I did. And it was really not a big deal. It's a game between two teams that weren't even in the playoff race. The game meant a whole lot of nothing on the grand scheme of things. And but the next day, because it was against the Rangers and their manager was Jerry Naron, who was the bench coach when I was with the Rangers. I walked all the way over to their side of the field. I didn't have to do this, and I interrupted a conversation he was having, and I apologized to him. And I was so disappointed in his reaction because I thought he would say, "Don't worry about it, whatever," knowing that I didn't have to go over there, right? But instead, he gave me the stone face and says, "Just play the game, just play the game." And I just kind of walked away thinking, "Screw that guy. I didn't have to say shit to that guy." But out of respect for him, I did, and that's the reaction I got. I was like, I thought it was pretty weak. But then, so many of the guys on the Rangers were my old teammates and coaches, and every single one of them said, "I would have done exactly what you did. Who cares what Jerry Naron says?"
Yes, sir. All right, now I'm going to embarrass you for a little bit because I'm going to play the after the cycle footage, and I got a couple questions. I'm going to ask you about this on the other side. All right, so we're watching a little clip. You haven't aged a bit, brother. You haven't aged a bit. All right. So what did man this audio? What did Gruber say to you, and what did you say to Gruber right there?
I don't remember exactly what he said. He just kind of like, "Atta boy, what do you?" He smacked me upside the helmet or whatever. And I remember what I said. I said, of all the people to hit for the cycle that have played for the Blue Jays, and it's me. Because if you look at some of the players over the years that played for the Blue Jays, man, they had some great hitters, and Kelly Gruber, and then me. I was the second. I had no idea, even I didn't even think I'd be in the lineup that day, and I had no idea that there was only one guy in the history of the Blue Jays to hit for the cycle. It was just a crazy day that and even some of the hits, kind of lucky blooper to right that bounces over the right fielder's head, and then the next one he kind of misjudges, and it's just one of those days that everything fell in my favor, I guess.
All right, now you're standing there by yourself on first base, right? And everybody's giving you a standing ovation, like we just saw, right? Something only 340 players have ever done, right? Something Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Hank Aaron never did. What is actually going through your head? Are you sitting there like slightly embarrassed, hoping the moment passes, or do you just sit there and take it all in?
Well, I mean, if you seen, I kind of went, I was kind of nervous. I was really nervous going up to home plate, knowing that this stage of my career, I may I may never have this opportunity again. I mean, I don't ever remember having that opportunity except for in the minor leagues one time. And so when I was going up to home plate, man, I was hot and mouth. I was like so nervous, just because I felt like my career was getting toward the end. And this is, I'd hate for to have this one chance to do something special and not come through. And I took the first pitch of the AB. I was a guy who took a lot of pitches, but it was right down the middle, man. And as soon as I took it, I was like, "Damn it! I should have hit that pitch." I knew I could have hit it if I swung. But luckily, I got to a 3-1 count, and he threw a fastball. And I wish I'd have just hit a ground ball up the middle for a regular single, and I would have had to deal with, even to this day on social media, people telling me what a selfish player I am because that I did the opposite of what I preach and all this stuff. Even though, so one chance in 15 years, I have a chance to do something selfish, and I did it, means I'm a selfish player.
In that last moment where you're just staring off into the void, and Everybody's clapping like it's Rose and the Jack and the Titanic stairwell. That's what it's like being high for the first time for those of you who never smoke weed, just like that.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool, man. I was just like, wow, did this really just almost like an out of body experience? Did this really just happen, you know?
Yes, sir. All right, we got some questions from the chat here. Are you a huge fan of the Chesapeake Bay blue crabs?
I don't even really know who they are, but yes, definitely. Anything that has to do with blue crabs, I'm a fan.
Yes, sir. All right, what do you think of? What did you think of Michael Jordan as a baseball player? That's a good one.
Um, he wasn't a very good baseball player. I idolized Michael Jordan like most of us did. Most of us kids growing up, this guy was like head and shoulders above everyone else. Um, and I know there's a lot of controversy of why all of a sudden this guy would walk away from basketball to come try and play baseball at 30 something years old. And you could see he was a great athlete, extremely fast, but his arm, he just had long levers and not much bat speed. And I played against him in spring training and pretty much knew that, even if he did make it, he probably wasn't going to be very good at it.
Yes, sir. And we got a question from Jules, and I'll piggyback on this. Do you still have the uniforms? I'll ask you on top of that. Well, what is your memorabilia collection like? Do you collect baseball cards of yourself? And was it cool to see yourself on a baseball card for the first time?
Yeah, it was really cool. That was really cool. I do have quite, a nice memorabilia collection. I have, I believe, a jersey from every team I played for, a couple from some, but I've been giving them away. I give them away to gave my grandson one the other day, and I gave a good friend of mine in Texas one. And yeah, I mean, it's hanging in my closet. It really, I would rather give them things like that to people that it would mean something to. I do have some nice framed jerseys and things. I have Nolan Ryan. I have a personalized Cal Ripken Jr. jersey that is, one of my prized possessions. I have a Michael Jordan jersey, a Johnny Bench, um, Jerry Rice, Bill Montana football, and I do collect baseball cards. Uh, I don't really actively collect them anymore, but I probably have 5,000 or more baseball cards. The sad thing is the ones that I have aren't valuable anymore. You used to think, oh, the longer you save them, the more they're worth. Now it's like I got 20 Pete Roses and they're not worth flip, but I could go buy a package and get a football card of some guy that's worth 15 grand, if I get lucky. So I mean, I do have, I'll, eventually just pass those down to my kids, I'm sure.
Those old satin starter jackets, man, those are my favorites. Oh,
Oh, those
love
are
them.
cool. Those are cool.
Love them. Do you ever get any crazy photo or picture requests or anything like that? Any autograph requests?
Now I get some crazy requests on Cameo. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, will you make a video and then show me your feet or the bottom of your feet? And I'm like, what? It's like, what is wrong with people? Uh, but for the most part, every once in a while, someone would ask you to sign a certain body part that you probably didn't feel was appropriate at the time in the autograph line. But no, nothing too crazy.
That's my dream is to autograph some titties, man. I'll know I've made it. I've only got one autograph request, and that was from somebody who was drunk at the show. And I'm like, why? I mean, I know you. Why are you asking for an autograph? But it was yeah. Oh my goodness, that'd be fun to sign some titties. All right, we got a question from Welcome to the Show. Who is the best catcher that really never played much for the Red Sox?
That really never played much for the Red Sox.
So I guess the best non-Red Sox catcher, or yeah, the best. Or I think the question probably is like, you as a pitcher, who was your favorite non-Red Sox catcher you played with?
Oh, Pudge Rodriguez.
Okay,
He was the best.
oh, he's one of the
But
best
I,
players.
I played with a lot of guys that I was probably better friends with. Bill Hasselman, Mike Stanley, Scott Hatterberg. Um, but I played with some really good catchers. I played with Jason Varitek. He was a hell of a catcher. But I mean, Pudge is, arguably the best defensive catcher to ever play the game.
Did Hedberg? You still talk with him? Was he stoked when he was mentioned in Moneyball?
Yeah, I hadn't talked to Hattie in a long time. He started working, I think, for the Mariners or the Oakland A's, I think, and great guy. I love that guy as a teammate and stuff. But yeah, I really hadn't talked to him much since Moneyball, even though I love Moneyball, love the movie, even though it hasn't worked out the way they people pretend like it worked out. The funny thing about Moneyball is the first time I saw it was in a theater, and I was with my now ex-wife, and um, Brad Pitt was leaning back like this, and behind him was a dry erase board with some names written on the dry erase board. And all of a sudden, they had this little scene. It was up there about 5 seconds, and it went away. And she turns to me and she goes, "Your name was on that board." I was like, "It was." And then so I went back and watched the movie a million times, and they have a board that shows upcoming free agents and positions, infielders, and about halfway down on the right, you'll see Frye on the board. And at the time, I was the only Frye in the major league, so
Oh, yeah.
I haven't got paid shit for it though. That's the thing. I haven't got anything yet, so
They owe
maybe
you
that check's
87
coming
cents.
someday.
Right, they owe you $1.87 residuals, bro. Right. He says, "I'm hurt, Frito. Creighton Gunabak was the best catcher that never played much."
Oh, yeah, he sabotaged me. Gooby, yeah. So Gooby, Creighton Gubach, great guy. He came up with the idea for this hat. You see this hat?
Okay.
Less than 1% of 1%. That's the number of guys, that played in the major leagues. And if you see on this hat, you can't see it, but it says number 16,162. That means I was the 16,162nd player to ever play in the major leagues. And so Creighton makes these hats
Oh, how cool is that?
for players. And he'll put their number on there and stuff like that. It's probably my favorite hat, and I have quite a hat collection going right now.
I got so many hats, dude. I got probably 130 hats, 100, 200 hats. I bought like 3 hats in the past month.
Yeah, my girlfriend doesn't understand. She goes, "Are you taking all those hats with you?" I was like, "Yeah." So if I go on a week trip or whatever, I'm bringing like 4 or 5 different hats.
Oh,
I got to
100%.
put them in a bag to where they don't get smushed up, and they got to stay neat. And because I got to match colors, man. I can't be wearing a black hat with a green shirt. My stuff's
Same
got to
here.
match. Even though my shirt's blue here, I have gray here, so I can wear the gray here. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
same here. Like, well, I'm also, follow pay challenge. So
I got a little bit more.
I've been wearing the same hat, same basic hat since 1985, though the new era 5950. It's just such a nice fit, man. I love it. I love it.
That's the best logo too.
Oh, it's
The,
great. Oh
Indi-
man,
the
dude,
Indians,
when
not
they
the
took the
Guardians. The
when they
Indians.
I love you, man. I love you for saying that, right? Oh, it still kills me. I
I still
still
refer. People get mad when I post something. I always say the Indians. Never say the Guardian. You can't tag the Cleveland Indians on Twitter because it says the Guardian.
right.
But
Oh
normally I'll
yeah.
just type in the Cleveland Indians. Um,
Hell yeah. You moved up 18 spots in my book. You're an awesome guy. I love it. I love it. All right. Did you ever get to ride one of them bullpen carts?
do what?
You know those bullpen carts they used to have with the big helmets and they
Oh
whip?
no, no,
Okay.
I didn't. But I did have a fun interaction. The Philly fanatic one time. We were in Philly and he was driving his little 4 wheeler around and he stole my hat and ran over it. But I never actually got to ride in one of those bullpen. Those things were awesome though. I wish they still
Oh,
had those. They were so
I
cool.
know. That's so fun. Now they just walk out and whatever. But did you ever have any walkout music at all? Was that in your era?
Yeah, it really wasn't a big thing when I first came up. Toward the end of my career, it started becoming a thing, and my first walk up song was "Kryptonite" by Three Doors Down.
Okay. Nice.
And
Nice.
it's funny because I was playing for the Rockies, and if you remember the song, it's "If I go crazy, will you still call me Superman?" And then a few years later, after I retired, I was representing players on a flight to Hollywood to do a commercial with a player, and I got a phone call from Clint Hurdle, our hitting coach, and he called me Superman. Superman, what are you doing? Just from my walk-up song. So that was cool.
Love it. Love it. Hurdle's gonna be on the show probably in March. He said. I messaged him on Facebook, so you will have to give me a good Clint Hurdle question to ask him.
He's one of the best hitting coaches I ever had. He taught me how to pinch hit because most of my career was in the American League, and we didn't do much pinch hitting. So I went to the National League for 2 months and knew my role was going to be kind of platoon second baseman and pinch hitter. And he sat me down one day and talked about it. And I said, man, I just feel like every time I pinch hit, the weight of the world because it feels like everybody's relying on me to win the game now. I got to, I have to come through. He goes, you can't think of it that way. He goes, think of it this way. He goes, all the other guys have already had 3 or 4 at bats. It's their fault we're losing. It's not your fault. They haven't done enough. So you're coming up there with 1 at bat to face, he goes, get your swings in and don't worry about it. And so I was like, all right. And I ended up going 9 for 20 as a pinch hitter that year, hitting 450 as a pinch hitter, just because I didn't put too much pressure on myself.
Oh, yeah. What did you do during the strike of '94?
I worked at a car dealership.
Okay, what kind of cars were you selling?
I worked at Allen Samuels, North Loop Dodge in North Richland Hills in Texas. And it's funny because I was doing a radio show during the strike. I mean, I was on a radio show, and the lady who handled all the advertising and stuff at Rebecca Barksdale at Allen Samuel. I can't believe I remember this. 1994, 32 years ago. Rebecca Barksdale called in the radio show and says, "Hey, we'll hire Jeff to work at our dealership during the strike." And sure enough, I got her contact information and went to the dealership, met Mike Lowry, not from the Bad Boys, but uh, Mike Lowry was the general manager, and I met another friend of mine, Lance Smith, who was the head of sales. And basically, all I did was show up for 4 or 5 hours and stand in the showroom floor with baseballs. And when customers came in, I'd give them an autograph. I didn't sell anything. I just kind of was there and made a lot of friends. And they paid me $40 an hour to stand around and sign baseballs.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love
And
it.
I got a free car. It was a great deal.
All right, who do you think would have won the World Series in '94 if they went through with it?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, weren't the Expos really good that year?
They were on a tear. Expo. I think it would have been the Expos and the Indians in the World Series, and I really think the Indians probably one of those two would have won it. You just feel it, you know. Oh my
I'll tell
goodness.
you what, man. Those Indian teams we played against in the late '90s, those dudes were. I mean, if they had a little bit more pitching, they had the best offense. When you had you had Lofton leading off, then you had like Alomar, Baerga, Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, Sandy Alomar sitting 9 hole. You got Richie Sexton at first, and then Vizquel's in there. Then Vizquel, once he became a better hitter, he was the top. I mean, it was if you had Lofton, Vizquel, and Alomar at the top, all three can bunt, all three can run, all three can handle the bat, and then you got the boppers behind them. Man, they were scary.
Dude, we had Tomei, Bell, and Ramirez back to back to back. That's almost mind-boggling when you think about it. My
Oh man,
goodness.
those guys. And then they had Brian Giles after that. I think they had Travis Fryman at third base.
Yeah.
Um, and that was, I think Bartolo was like really young then. Jarrett Wright, Charles Nagy, Steve Finley. Joe Table was the closer. Jose Mesa.
Jose Mesa
Uh,
was a good dude.
they were tough, man.
Well, you played at both the parks, like the old Cleveland Stadium or Progressive Field. Was that like night and day? Do you remember a lot of the old stadium?
Yeah, my first year, '92, we played at the old Cleveland Stadium. I was actually on the Rangers when that ball hit off on Jose Canseco's head and went over the fence.
Okay,
Yeah, he
okay.
came in and said, "Oh, hit my glove." We're like going, "No." David Holsey was playing center field, running over there. Said that hit off his head. Yeah, I was actually on the Rangers when that happened. But that was not a very. I mean, that was not a very good stadium, at least at that point. I didn't see it, you know, early on. But yeah, but Jacobs Field was like maybe my favorite place to hit in all of baseball. For whatever reason, I did. really well against the Indians, and um, I had one really funny. I'll tell you real quick a pinch hit story. So it's a cold day early in the year, and I'm not starting. I should have been starting because I had like 4 hits the day before, and I'm not starting. And there's like a little room behind the dugout, and it's so cold out that I don't even want to be in the dugout. So I'm in this room. All of a sudden, we're hitting, and I'm pretending like I'm stretching. I'm just kind of in there staying warm, and all of a sudden, so I hear somebody yell, "Frito, you're hitting!" So I run in the dugout with my jacket on, and I'm like, "What?" They said, "You're hitting." So I like take my jacket off, drop it on the floor, run over, grab a helmet, get my batting gloves, grab a bat. I'm up. They're bringing in Paul Ossenmacher, and I'm hitting, right? And I had like less than a minute to get ready. And Ossenmacher throws me a fastball, strike one, hanging breaking ball, line drive to center field, base hit. Get to first. Jim Tomey goes, "You must just stay up at night waiting to face us because you get hits, you killing us." And I end up scoring a run, and I come back to the dugout, and Mike Stanley, as I sat on the bench next to him, he just looks at me. He goes, "You're slowly becoming my hero." It was so cool.
Love it, love it. All right, we got some questions from the chat. What do you think of the new pitches, like the sweeper pitches that pitchers throw now? Also, do you think has this impacted the game much?
Yeah, I don't buy into the sweeper thing. They just started renaming stuff. It's more of a sweep. It's more of a sweeping slider, I guess, to be called a sweeper. We used to call those flat sliders. Those are easier to hit than the ones that came in and went down at an angle. Um, but I know there's some new names for stuff that guys have been throwing for a long time.
Would you ever? What do you think about? They should bring back the spitball. And what's your take on the knuckleball? Like, why are there no knuckleballers anymore? Is it just such a? I kind of look at. I watched a documentary on knuckleballs the other day, and it was almost like they're like a Jedi Order, right? There's like so few of them. They pass it down. What's your take on the knuckleball?
Man, I wish there were more knuckleball guys. I think it's so exciting to watch knuckleball guys like Wakefield and the Necro brothers, uh, and then R.A. Dickey came in. Um, I mean, it can mess you up for 2 or 3 games. Guys face a knuckleball pitcher, and it just kind of throws you up, gets you out of whack. It's funny. So when I was just at Red Sox fantasy camp, one of our coaches, Bob Steamer Stanley, who I plan on having on my podcast hopefully this week, was talking about the spitball and how he used to throw a spitball all the time and how he'd load it up and all these different things. And guys, knew it was coming. The catchers couldn't even catch it. Uh, and he also mentioned how many guys back in those days used cork bats.
Okay.
That and I think a lot of people, and I can't name any names, but it used to be that the old saying, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. It was just kind of trade craft. You know what I mean? It's like we're gonna do whatever we can to beat those other guys. Might stretch the rules a little bit, but they're doing it too. So whoever outsmarts the other team, kind of.
Do you remember? That makes me laugh. Do you remember when Joe Crow had the Emery board and he was like threw it out of his
Oh yeah,
pockets and
who it out of his, yeah. I ain't got nothing. Yeah. Well, I mean, when I played, there was a lot of pitchers that they had like little pine tar rags in their pockets of their jackets because you come in a cold night and you get a slick baseball, man. It's kind of hard to control it. So I didn't really have a problem with that. I think when they started using the crazy sticky stuff that Trevor Bauer and all those guys talked about, the spider tack or whatever, that was a little over the top. And it's still today. I can't stand watching the pitcher walk off the mound and the umpire comes over and they go like this. It's like, you know,
feel it.
I'm not a big fan of that. To me, it's kind of embarrassing.
All right. The question from JV: how do you feel about the recent rule changes, like the no shifts, pitch clock, shit like that?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the pitch clock. It's I think the beauty of baseball for me is that there is no clock. Yeah, and if you watch back in the day, until guys started taking 45 seconds between pitches, I think there's a way to curb that. Maybe have a limit. You can't go over this, but I believe that a lot of the arm injuries are because players can't take a break even when they need it. They got 18 seconds to, I don't even know how many it is, but sometimes, you need to step back and walk off the mound and get some rosin and clear your head. But you can't do that now because the clock's going to run out.
Right, right.
And the shift, I was never a proponent of the shift. To me, it rewards players for not making adjustments. If you're a left-handed pull hitter and the second baseman's playing shallow right field, don't hit it to him.
Right, go pull,
If
hit
you
it out
keep
the field.
hitting it to him, that's your own fault. You have to learn to make an adjustment and hit it away from the defense. And so I thought that was, to me, they're trying to increase offense because there's so much of the three true outcomes. Everybody's trying to hit homers and do damage. So, um, they had to create offense, try to create offense by limiting where the defense could play. And if you look at all sport, you name another sport where you're not allowed to defend somebody the way you think you can best defend them.
Yeah, it's not
Oh no, they're
working.
going to throw it down and out. You can't guard that. I mean, come on, why? That's what sports are. We're gonna try and defend what you're good at. And to me, that takes away from the game.
Yes, sir. All right, question from JB. What pitch in the 90s was toughest to hit? And what modern pitch would give you the most trouble, or is it kind of the same?
The hardest pitch for me to hit was a sinker, a two seamer, hard running sinker from a right handed pitcher that would run in on my hands. You know, and actually the changeup was a difficult pitch for me to hit. When they have the guys who had the best changeups and they didn't slow their arm down and the ball looked like it should be 90, but it comes in at 78. It's just really difficult to pick up. What was the other part of that question? Do you remember?
Oh, or is it the same? Or is it kind of the same? Like I think he's basically. I wonder if he's asking about pitchers or pitches itself. But yeah, let's do the pitchers. What pitchers from the '90s that you remember would some guy you could just never figure out? Who was your Martino Navratilova, basically?
I couldn't hit Mike Mussina,
Okay.
and he just had he kind of jumped at you with his delivery, and his fastball had a lot of life, late life, and he would throw it kind of at the top of the zone, and you think you're on it, and at the last 3 feet, it just kind of pops on you. They call that today. They would say that's a high spin rate,
Okay.
but there were certain guys that had that late life on their fastball that you thought you were on it, and then you just foul it off or whatever. And then with Mussina, he had this knuckle curve that he would jump at you, and his sucker would drop about 3 feet, and I could just never figure that guy out.
It's a beautiful pitch. Bucino was master to watch. Love that guy. All right. Question from Denny: is there any crying in baseball?
There is today,
Good
sadly,
answer. Good answer.
right? Guys get traded, they cry. I mean, I don't know. It used to be kind of a manly thing. You can't be seen as a man crying when you lose. Maybe is that right or wrong? I don't know. That's just the way I was raised. So I would say there's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, try. I mean, if the crying comes out, cry, I guess. But try as I mean, at least for guys, try to limit your crying. I mean, you don't want to be seen like a soft
Well, I'm a
whiny
little.
guy. But
I mean, when it comes to movies and things like that, I'll watch a movie, and then I'll be like, my girlfriend's like, "Are you crying?" I was like, "I don't. I can't help it. Like, I'm a sensitive guy, and if something is a touching moment, to me, it doesn't make me any less of a man to get a tear in my eye when something like that. When Old Yeller died, I cried. I'm sorry.
then he was talking about the League of Their Own movie, Rockford Peaches, and all that for sure. All right, JB wants to know: you see a lot of players using jaw guards. I've heard it's hard to see the ball at time using one. What's your take on jaw guards?
What, like the helmet thing?
Yeah, yeah, like when it goes over like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would like it. I think it might hinder my, my peripheral vision a little bit. I understand why, some guys wear them because they got hit in the jaw. I think John Carlos Stanton got hit in the jaw one time, and might have some fear in the back of his mind that it happens again, and so he wants to protect himself. But you see a lot of padding going on these days. It's like everybody's got a shin guard, elbow pad. They got pads on their hands. They got. I mean, it used to be a few guys had the big pads on their elbows and things like that. But I mean, if you get hit, it's supposed to hurt,
It's the
right?
only
You can't
only
stick your big you know, Teflon or whatever those things, your graphite elbow pad in the way of the ball and get on base. That doesn't work.
the only time I ever broke a bone, I broke my arm. I was batting. This is little league, probably eighth grade maybe. But I went like this and smacked me right here in the forearm, broke it.
Yeah,
All right, let's get into this Shogun movement. Is it Shigon or Shogun? How do you say it?
she gone.
Shigon. All right, now does the name come from like some personal relationship and a buddy's like, nah, she gone? Or does it come from like joking about the overtraining to hit home runs? What's the deal?
No, it was just a fluke, man. I was just in the backyard and I hit the ball, making a video, and I said she gone. This as a joke, and one of my followers says you need to hashtag she gone. I was like, okay, what does that mean? I had no idea. I had no idea, but my favorite announcers when I played were the White Sox announcers, Hawk and Wimpy, and
Okay.
they had some unusual things that they would say. Like guy would strike out, they'd say, "Grab some bench," or they'd say, "Put it on the board, yes," or or I think it was Hawk who used to say, "You go," when the guy struck out. So I don't know if that's where it came from. It definitely wasn't scripted. It just came out. She gone. And then I hashtagged it, and now I'm the leader of the Shigon Nation. Believe it or not.
All right, now let me tell you the basis of it as I see it, and you correct me if it's any different. All right, I tell you like this. Number one, let kids be kids, play the sports at their own pace for the love of the game. Number two, when you do teach kids, teach them to have an all around good game, not just smack homers. And number three, avoid the random Tommy John surgeries.
I agree with all three. you know,
Is that pretty much? I mean, is that basically what there was some controversy there. What was the online stuff? Basically, you're just telling these people just to have fun and not overthink and overtrain these kids. Is that basically the whole gist of what you're doing?
yeah, it's. I'm really just trying to help educate people and protect them from, I believe, are a lot of bad instruction, a lot of things that are being taught now by people who weren't good at baseball, and they say there's a cheat code and there's this and that, and do all these funky things where almost every single former major leaguer would say this is not what you do. But when you have a lot of followers on social media, and people don't know where to get good information, they go to oh, this guy's got 50,000 followers. He must know what he's talking about. He's the pitching doctor. Well, the pitching doctor, you know, didn't make his high school team. So, you know what I mean? So if you look at, especially on Twitter or X, I don't like to call it X, but I call it Twitter, like the Indians, not the
All
Guardians.
right.
Um, Almost all the former major leaguers agree with the stuff I'm saying, man. We got to keep it simple, down through the ball, throw strikes. It's not all about exit velocity and launch angle. It's not all about spin rate and all these different kind of things. It's the game's been the game for 150 years. It hasn't changed a whole lot just because we have all this technology and all these analytics now.
Yes, sir. All right. Now this is a wild question, but I got to show you a picture. Now, have you ever sought work as Corey Nemec's stunt double? All right. And if you could go back in time, would you rather be on Stargate SG1 or Parker Lewis Can't Lose?
You saying that guy looks like me?
This guy is your clone, brother.
Wow. I don't know. He's handsome. No, I don't even know who that is.
He was on. There was a show Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Do you remember that? It was like a Ferris Bueller knockoff almost. It was on
Ah,
Fox.
okay. I remember Ferris Bueller, but
Yeah, it
yeah.
was. He was on. It's a show called Stargate too. He's a good actor. It's funny. He's reminded me of him. All right. In your opinion, if the league started using aluminum bats, what would the home run record, and other records be like?
It would be a joke. It would be a joke. I mean, they can't because it wouldn't be safe. The ball would come off the bat too fast. Somebody would get hurt. Somebody might get killed. Honestly. But these bats that these guys are using today, the wood bats, the maple bats, and birch bats, are so much better than the bats that we had when we played. It's not even close. So I was just at I told you I was at Fort Myers for Red Sox fantasy camp, and I went in the equipment room with my boy Stelly. He's a buddy down there, and I looked at these bats. And he had all these bats, and these things are like pearls, man. Every one of them's like be a gamer big league bat. And I'm like, what are these bats? And he goes, oh, those are the minor league stock. I'm like, these guys get to use this. Like, I was using an ash bat, sharing bats with my teammate because my bat sucked in the major leagues, and these minor leaguers had better bats than we had.
Did you use a bigger bat or a smaller bat?
Oh, small. I used like a 33, 31, or 33, 30.
Okay, okay. I quit playing baseball when I was probably eighth grade, but it was a. I don't think I ever really. I didn't like the wooden bats. I love the metal bats. They're just so much easier, man. Those Eastons and the oh, it just popped it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't have to hit it necessarily on the sweet spot. Wooden
Yeah, you
bat,
don't
you
need
got
to.
about this much room, and you got to have the label turned right. At
Yeah,
least, at least with an ash bat, if you didn't turn the label right and hit it on the wrong spot, you could hit it on the barrel and break it. So it takes some getting used to. My first year, I broke, oh man, so many bats, and we didn't have very many. So it was, beginning of the year, I'm using, a decent bat, and by the end of the year, I'm using in the playoffs a 34-inch, 32-ounce P89, which I would never use, and that's all I had to use.
okay. All right, you just talked about Trevor Bauer earlier, right? What's your take on why he doesn't get another shot?
On what?
Why he doesn't get another shot in Major League Baseball?
Because he's a knucklehead. I mean, just to be honest, he is. I really didn't like what he did when he came out doing this thing. This him and his buddies with that guy King of JUCO, who's he's a social media guy who's a JUCO player, played a little bit minor leagues, whatever. I just don't believe you should be on social media dropping f bombs and taking shots of whiskey, and you know, I think it's just a horrible example for kids. And Trevor Bauer is buddies with him, and then Trevor came up with this thing, do cool shit. So when you're in the minor leagues and you're playing a Wednesday game, nobody's at the game. He goes, and you hit a home run. He goes, do some cool shit. Pimp your homer, flip your bat, whatever, make a fool of yourself. And whoever is the best at it, whoever I choose to be the best at it, will get $2,500 out of my bank account. So he's basically encouraging professionals to act foolishly. And I think that's, when you're a professional, man, you got to act like a professional.
Yeah,
It's
right.
not fraternity stuff anymore. College. You're a pro, act like a pro because you're supposed to be the example for the kids who are coming up.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, professionalism is such a great word. I mean, and you can still be professional and have a lot of fun. Like we have a lot of fun over here on this show and just in life, and but I still maintain professionalism. I don't attack people. There's a certain decorum I try to do. I usually have good audio. All right, let's get into some silly questions and we'll close it out here. All right, what kind of dishwashing detergent do you use?
Tide.
Tide. Okay, okay. How long could you sit at a library and do nothing before you would fall asleep?
I don't go to libraries.
I
Is
would guess.
Starbucks a library? No,
I think it's mostly for community meetings now. I don't know why anybody goes to the library anymore. I'm not a books guy. I mean with the internet, I see no need for books. I can read everything on the internet, man.
yeah, I don't. I mean, I've read. I don't read a lot of books. Last book I read was a buddy of mine's book, Colonel and a Cowboy, but that's the last one.
All right, we got a question from JV. If you had to go back and hit, what would your choice be of bat? Maple, ash, or birch?
Maple.
Okay. I live on Maple Ridge Road. I can get you a couple bats on the house. All right. What is your favorite airline you've been on, and do you have a least favorite airline?
Airline?
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite airline's Southwest.
Okay. I like
Um,
Southwest.
I liked it better when bags were free. Um, but Southwest and American are probably my two
Okay.
favorite.
Do you have a least favorite?
Frontier, I think.
Spirit and Frontier are so
Spirit.
bad. So
Yeah, it's nuts.
bad. They don't even give you free stacks. It's ridiculous. All right. When was the last time you used a vacuum cleaner?
Oh, when I was in Texas over the holidays,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I had to
I haven't
spill
done it.
something and had to vacuum it up at my mom's house.
Okay. What? When was the last time you were at the zoo?
Man, it's been a while. I haven't been to the zoo. Um, and we had a great zoo in Fort Worth. I lived there for 20 years, so probably 5 years.
Okay. What? Have you ever been in a Ferrari? What about a Lamborghini? And do you have a favorite car?
I've been in Lamborghini. What was the first one? I've been in a what?
Ferrari.
Yes, I've been in a Ferrari. Um, I don't really have. I've never been a car guy, man.
Same
I
here.
I don't know. I mean, I like cars, and you know when you're in a nice car. I was in a really nice car in Florida when I went and played golf, but I can't even tell you what it was. It was a friend who picked me up. I was like, "That's a sweet ride," but I don't even know exactly what it was.
I'm the same way. I'm not a car guy.
Wow.
There's got a lot of car fans. All right. What do you think of the Caribbean? And have you ever been to the Virgin Islands?
I love the Caribbean. Never been to the Virgin Islands. Um, I mean, I haven't traveled to a lot of places. I've been, you know, Bahamas, Belize, Jamaica, um, Aruba. I've been to those places,
Okay.
but not. I mean, I love going to those places. Um, I love the beach and the sun and fishing, and that's. I love going to the ocean. I really do love going. I went down to uh, Carolinas this year. I went on a 9-day fishing trip with a buddy of mine right on the ocean. We had an Airbnb that was 100 yards from the ocean, which was incredible. You just sit out there and watch the ocean all day. It's pretty peaceful.
I do love the ocean. I mean, man, the Caribbean sounds so good right now with this cold, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. My goodness.
No doubt.
All right, we got a question from JV. What was the worst visitor locker room back in the day that you remember?
Oof. Probably either Wrigley Field or Fenway Park.
Oh, the oldest ones. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
mean, I remember Fenway as a visiting player. You go in there, and in September they expand the rosters. So you went from 25-man roster to sometimes 40. And so if you were a newbie, you had to share a locker, which was about a foot and a half to 2 feet wide with your teammate. You're in there trying to get dressed where you're like chairs are on the way and there's hardly any room, but it was so small in old Fenway. And I remember Wrigley being the same way.
There we go. Question from JV says, most amazing play you've witnessed while playing. Like I'm assuming, like while you're on the field, what's the most coolest thing you've seen out there in the field?
Wow. I don't know. I mean, the Conseco ball off his head was pretty amazing.
I still remember that headline. It said uh, bonk, Indians win by a head or something. It was a funny ass headline in the paper next day.
Yeah,
My goodness.
but I mean, I can't. Not one play like sticks out. I saw some great plays. Saw Darren Bragg go over the wall at Fenway Park, rob a homer, and I seen Nomar make some unbelievable plays. But really, not one. I mean, a play that really sticks out of my mind that wasn't a great play was when our shortstop Mario Diaz for the Rangers smoked a line drive up the middle and hit Brad Holman in the forehead. Hit him right here, and just sounded like hit a brick wall. And the ball ricocheted. Holman went down like a sack of potatoes, and the ball rolled toward the dugout. And just as it rolled into the dugout, Julie Ripken, who's extremely witty and funny guy, goes, "That's a ground rule double." And it was because it hit a player and left the playing field, so it was a ground rule double. But the fact that he would think of that while this dude's out there, it looked like he might be dead. Billy's like, "That's a double." So I'll never forget that one.
There was I got a funny story that reminds me. We were in the service, and my buddy Luke got his finger all fucked up. It was all jacked up, and we all had to write on the get well messages on the card. My one buddy wrote, "Better you than me." Fuck, that made me laugh.
Oh, see, when you have your friends that are your real friends, you can say stuff like that to them, and they don't, you know, you
Oh
can
yeah, oh
you
yeah,
can say anything you want to your boys, and they're never going to take it personal.
great. All right, 195 to the pin, bunker in front. What club are you using? You going for it or laying up like tin cup?
To the 195 to the pin, bunker in front, what club are you using? I'm never laying up. I'm hitting my four hybrid, my TaylorMade four hybrid. That's about 15 years old. Looks like he just got out of a yard sale, but it's my baby, and I can hit it from 180 to about 205 yards. That's my go-to club in that situation.
Okay, I would shank it. I would hook it left to the woods. With what I would do.
It doesn't
I would
mean I
make
don't hit on the green, but that's the club that I would choose to attempt to hit it on the green.
that's gonna be my motivation because I want to get back into golf this year. I haven't golfed in like 6, 7 years, and I love it because when you go outside, golf is like a temporary suspension of laws, man. You could go up and get a cart. They don't even ask for your driver's license. You can sit there and smoke weed, drink beers while you're driving. Nobody gives a fuck. There's no wives around going, man, man, man. It is a suspension of rules in reality. That's why golf's so popular. That's why I love it.
I love it too. It's four to 4.5 hours of just relaxing. I like to have my speaker in the cart, a few adult beverages, and my favorite thing to do now on the golf course is to get somebody with my fake rubber snake. And I've got a collection of videos of the guys that I've gotten. Um, I wait for the perfect scenario where the driver has to go all the way around the cart, put his club in, then walk around to his side. And it's usually sitting down there by the back driver's side wheel. I have this little copperhead that looks like a real snake, and I'm videoing the whole time. And it is so funny to get their reaction. And once they realize it's fake, I've already got them. So
That's
that's one of my favorite things to do on the golf course.
That's great, dude. I have reminds me when I was in the desert. This is 2011. We was in Iraq, and I ordered a bunch. My boss, my buddy Tim Merle, completely afraid of snakes. He has everything. So I ordered some rubber snakes off of Amazon, and I put one outside the terminal, and it fuck it. But I got in trouble for that one. Boy, they yelled at me. They yelled at me for that one. Oh my goodness, I had a blast with that though. That was great. All right, Jules wants to know where's your favorite fishing trips to, and what for? What kind of fish?
Um, okay, so I'm getting ready to go on in May on a 6-day excursion with my one of my best friends. We're going to drive from Texas to the Carolinas. We're going to go saltwater fly fishing, which
Okay.
I've never done, um, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm kind of an amateur beginner fly fisherman, but last August I had this same gentleman come up to Cody, Wyoming with me. I do a charity event every year, so I go 2 or 3 days early to go fishing, and we went on two separate fly fishing trips on the Shoshone River, and he said it was one of the best days of his life fly fishing, and he's fished all over the world. So that's fun. I do, I went to, like I said, I went to Carolinas this year and fished in the ocean. We caught some trout and flounder. I never caught a flounder. Uh, Basically, any kind of fishing is my favorite kind of fishing. I would. That's my favorite hobby. It was probably fishing, golf, then hunting. Uh,
Okay.
and I haven't hunted up here in Maryland. It's too cold. The animals are all frozen to death. Got to go to Texas for it to thaw out. But yeah, I usually when I go back to Texas, I get in some fishing. I went to Lake Fork this year in Texas, which is a very well known lake. But any kind of fishing, man, and I'm in.
Well, yeah, I like. Well, I don't know. I like. I don't like killing things. I don't mind the relaxation of it, but I don't know. I'm just not a killing things, and I know that's whatever because I eat the meat, but I'm just not. I don't know. It is. It is what it is. I do in a video game though. I'll do in a video game like Big Game Hunter, play the little thing.
Well, most of them, I mean, a lot of the fish we catch, we just release.
Oh, okay, okay,
We only keep the ones we're going to eat,
okay. It makes sense. Yeah.
so, but like when we go bass fishing, um, we might keep the bass that are too small just because they're this one lake we fish in is like 30-acre lake and it's overpopulated with fish. And they'll fish and
Okay.
game will come in and say, you have to take out this many fish or the adult fish are not going to grow. There's not enough food. So we'll take out fish, but
Okay.
we'll clean them and eat them and give them to other people. So it's not like we're wasting it.
Cool. Cool. All right. JV wants to know, since you're an agent for other players, have you thought about jumping back into the football and some of the NIL money? Basically, what you're taking on NIL and all that kind of stuff. Has it destroyed the amateur stuff, or I mean, is it going to get worse in your opinion? What do you think?
Okay, first off, I'm not an agent anymore. I stopped doing that 2 years ago. Um, I have talked to a couple buddies about starting a consulting group to help families, through the whole process because they don't really know. How can they know what to do? It's the first time they've ever gone through it. Um, to me, the NIL and the financial portal is all a disaster. Why are amateur players making more money than professionals? It just doesn't make sense. These kids are 5 schools in 5 years. They're not graduating, and the amount of if they don't go to the professional ranks when they're done, they pretty much maximize what they're going to make. I just don't think you should be giving college kids $12 million to play football for 12 games. Major league players, uh, you know, rookie season, he's making less than $1 million in the major leagues, it's the highest level of the sport. But we're going to give a college freshman quarterback $12 million. To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
I agree 100%. I mean, I don't have an easy solution for it. I mean, it is a free country, so technically you would think, but I mean, direct money to play, I don't. It ruins the amateurness of it. It really does.
Well, I think you should have to, granted, let's say we're going to give these kids this much money. We put it in a trust. And when you graduate, you can have it.
Yeah, get put some kind of incentive to it instead of just leaving in the transfer portal over here, right?
Because your career, your professional career, it's going to be over most of the times, even if you're good at it by your mid 30s. Well, now you got 40 years of your life that you need to do something else with. It'd be nice to have, you know, a degree so you can go get a job, because I think unfortunately when you give these young kids this amount of money, they don't know how to manage this money,
Nope.
and it's just opening doors for all these hanger honors to come in and get some of that money, and then when it's gone, then what? You better have a way to make some more.
Yes, sir. All right, from JV, since you like hunting, is it gun hunting or do you hunt with the bow? What's your favorite gun and bow?
Yeah, I don't bow hunt. I was given a free Matthews bow back in the day, and I went to do it one time, and the release snapped. It broke, and it hit me right in the tooth, and almost broke my tooth. I was like, I'm done. I gave it my bow away. Um, but I have my rifle. My favorite rifle is the 270, and that's my baby. I usually hunt with. But some of these places I hunt um, are kind of exclusive places where I'm only allowed to use a certain type of gun that has a suppressor on it.
Okay.
Because I mean, if you shoot my gun one time, every deer within a mile is going to hear it. But if you have a suppressor, maybe the guy in the blind next to you will have a chance to shoot too because you didn't scare all the deer away.
I see so many deer in my yard. And we get some good looking ones. There was a nice buck there the other day and all kinds of stuff. Really cool. All right. Who, in your opinion, who are the three most famous people you have ever met?
Three most people. Um, Probably George Bush. Um, Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, nice, nice.
Um, I don't know. Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like Nolan. Shoot, perfect.
Um, I've met a 4-star general, 3-star general. Two of my best friends were colonels. Um, yeah, I think. I mean, accurately at the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else. But,
If I would have got been an officer and I would have stayed in, I'd be probably getting general right about now. If I would have, well, this is assuming that I would have done stuff and did things. I was more of a hands off kind of troop.
right, right.
All right, Beatles or Queen? Who would you pick out of those two bands?
Beatles or Queen?
Yeah.
I like the Beatles, man. I like Queen too, but to me, Queen's not on the same level as the Beatles. I mean, Rolling Stones or Beatles to me,
Yes, sir.
I'd go Rolling Stones, even though I like the Beatles.
All right. What is something you haven't done yet? You were sure you're going to do by the time you're 70 years old? And what is your advice for your future self?
Wow, something I haven't done yet. I mean, one of the things I've never done is I'm never going to skydive. I don't want to do that. Snow skiing, I've never done. I really have no desire because I don't like being cold and I don't want to get hurt. I was going to learn to scuba, but I'm deathly afraid of sharks, so I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know about that. Advice for my future self:
Yes, sir.
don't get married. If I got married twice, I'm over two.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, we'd like to thank Mr. Jeff Frye for coming out. I apologize about the audio, guys. I think it's a StreamYard thing, but it was a good time, my friend. I appreciate it. We'll keep in touch. I think we'll be in touch on this kind of thing in the future. I would imagine.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it, and go Indians, man. Screw them
Yes,
Guardians.
sir. Yes, sir. Go try. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
All right, man.
All right, later.